Hi Marianna, Jim Delapine here. I may sound a little groggy. It's the first thing in the morning for me. I woke up late, and if I clear my throat, I apologize in advance. I've got something coming on, so in any event, okay, so I want to address some of the issues that you said you had and talk about how you can improve the look of this. So first of all, you do not want your name on here. Okay, so if I have my move tool selected and the auto select checked, I should be able to click on any element and it'll go right to that layer. Okay, so here you have the pattern on there. So I'll hide the pattern and I'm going to get rid of your name here. We don't want that on there. Okay. The pattern, I'll just leave that there for now, and I have a reason for that. So I'm also going to get rid of the pattern for the character name for now, and I'll select that text. And what I'm going to do is, we're going to do something with the text, but first I want to create a location, an atmosphere, an environment for Fantasia Furniture Fairy. So if let me also get rid of just hide the guides. All right, so let's go to the background here, and if I control click or hit control T with the background layer active, I see it's a little bit larger than the document, which is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize this layer so it has something more it just will work better for what I intend to do. You get this little icon here when you drag and drop it in, so I'm just going to right click and rasterize the layer. Then I'm going to hit Control A to select all, and then I'm going to go to Image Crop. Okay, so I want to crop this image out. I want to remove any excess background that's beyond the viewing area. Then what I'm going to do is click on the layer and drag it up. So as I'm dragging, I'm holding the Shift key to constrain it, and I'll bring it to right about here. Okay, and let go of the mouse and then the Shift key. Otherwise, it will jump out of constrainment. Then I'm going to, in this case, it's a consistent pattern, so we might have an interesting result. So I'm then going to duplicate this layer by hitting Control J. So I've duplicated the selected background layer, hit Control J, and then I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical. So it's going to turn it upside down. Then I'm going to click and drag down, and I'm going to match it up with the floor here. Okay. Then I'm going to hit Control A to select all and image crop. All right. So now it crops out that bottom image because remember I just dragged it down. So now it looks like that. So now what I'm going to do is deselect and hit, with this purple background layer, I'm going to hit, go to Edit, Transform, Perspective. Okay. If I didn't crop it, these bounding lines will go all the way down below here. So now I'm going to click on the bottom left or right bounding box and click and pull it out. And there we go. So you see we have a pattern here. So it looks more like a floor that he's standing on or she's standing on. All right, so now we have a base. All right, so let's talk about those white lines that you couldn't figure out how to get rid of. So those white lines, usually I would say if you just click on it with the move tool, it'll go right to that layer. But in this case, they're so fine that you'd have to really zoom in. So if you just hide and show layers, you'll find out where they are. Like for example, here's one line here. Okay. So when you find that, you go to select the layer mask, go to your paintbrush tool, make sure you're at 100% hardness. Make sure you're at black as your foreground color, and then what you need to do is, you should probably zoom in this case, so you can see where the lines are here. So let me increase my brush size by hitting the right bracket key. Okay, left bracket key will reduce, right bracket key increases. So I'm talking about the key that's underneath the backspace key in your keyboard. So now if I click and drag, see, oh, I don't really remove that, so let me undo that. So I'm just going to click on the white line. So I'm masking out that white line with the layer mask active. And then it was this side also, so click and shift click. So clicking and shift clicking will create a straight line in between. I'll show you how it works when we get to here. So, so now we have the nail head coming through here. So, okay, here's another white line here. If I hide and show the layer, I can see it. So here's where that shift clicking comes in place. That comes in handy. The layer mask is active. I'm clicking here. Whoops. It's this layer here, bronze nail head. So if I click here, it masks out that white line. If I go up here and shift click, is a white line, a straight line happens in between. Okay. So I'm continuing to hide and show. Um, Actually, I'll leave that because there's a light in here. So I see the clock has a white line on the left. So here, so if I click and whoops. So if I click here and shift click, I'm masking out that line. Okay. You don't want those lines. So now we have all these lines down here. So, I mean, I could, well, no, I can't. So let me just, here we go. Here's another white line, colorful spatula. So if I select that layer mask, I click and shift click. So you get the idea, okay? So let's show everything and continue on with another technique for the text. So, okay, Fantasia Furniture Fairy. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to select this fairy. I'm going to cut it. Hit the backspace key. Go to the Move tool, and then go to the Text tool again, and click down here and hit Paste. What happened? Paste. Oh, perhaps I know why. So paste. I don't know why that did not happen, but let me just do this again. So F-A-I-R-Y, and oh, that's because it's a clipping. Let me unclip this and hide it. Fairy. So, oh, it's a clipping mess. That's why. Okay. All right. So we have fairy, and let's see. Let's make the font. Let me check the font. It actually looks fine, but Myriad Pro Bold. We want blacks. So in this case, so I would say Arial, so ARI, and then black. It makes it bolder. Okay. It's a heavier font, as you can see. Okay. So what you want for this is like a background that's bold. So now what I'll do is I'll hit Control T and scale this up and here, something like that. Hit Enter. Then I'm going to rasterize the layer by right-clicking and going to rasterize type. This next technique won't work unless it's rasterized. I'll go to Edit, Transform, Perspective. Again, I'll click and drag out. Whoops. And something like that. Okay. Then what I'll do is I will Control click on the thumbnail for the fairy layer and hide the layer. I'll then scroll down to the bottom. All right, this is the base here. So I will then select that layer and hit Control J. Control J copies what's within that selection from that layer to the layer above. So it looks like that. Okay. Then I'll apply a layer mask. I'm sorry, layer style. So double click on that and go to Bevel and Emboss, and you can see the immediate result. So I would experiment with this just by selecting the name. You can then go in and start experimenting and seeing what you like. You can even change the light source direction. There's a number of things you can do with that. You know, explore. You can also make it stand out more by, we could do a color overlay. All right, select color overlay and I mean, choose a different color. and experiment with the blending modes. You know, you can get some really interesting results there. Okay, so experiment with that. I'm not saying that's right, I just hit okay. So experiment with that. And do the same thing for Fantasia furniture. I mean, you can exaggerate this. It doesn't have to be fully visible. Okay, you can, for example, if I make this centered, which it already is, um, I can let me see here. I can make this very large in the background. Okay, something like that. Hit enter and then make Fantasia. We can do this. Fantasia, work with the tracking, which is the amount of space in between characters. So that would be this here, I think. Yeah. Okay. So we're stretching this down so that it matches left and right with this. Let's center this a little bit more using the arrow key. Then you could do this. You could use this. Control click, hide that layer, go to the background, top, and hit Control J. So we have that same text in the background. Now what we could do is actually, we could copy this layer style by holding down the Alt key or Option key if you're on the Mac, and dragging that layer style and copying it to that layer. And it picks up the same attributes. Then you can go in and change it. You can double click on the FX and go in and change the, well, that changes it for everything, that's true. But let's see, how could I unlink that? I forget how to do that. Well, you know what? You don't have to do that. I would say if you trash that and then go in and create another layer style, you'd have individual controls. All right? I mean, even something like that would be kind of nice. All right? And subtle. All right, I hope that helped. It's been a very long video. I apologize for that. So, and don't forget, you have to have adjustment layers that are clipping masks and saved and renamed channels. I'm going to give you directions you actually have a saved and renamed channel right here. It's not being used, but, you know, well, this one is, the bow tie, for example. So this is the advantage of it. If you control click on this, you can, for whatever reason, you can go back in later on and make that change. All right, so keep that in mind, okay? All right, hope that helped. Take care.